Hi, I'm Mark Ordan. I'm extremely proud of the fact that Sunrise has spent the last 30 years working to support adults experiencing memory loss along with their loved ones. Simply put, memory care is part of Sunrise's DNA. There are so many organizations that work with seniors, but none that have had such a steady, central focus to helping people with Alzheimer's and memory loss like Sunrise has.
Being a caregiver for a loved one living with memory impairment can be the toughest, yet the most rewarding job a person can have. In the more than 30 years since we founded Sunrise, we have all learned a lot from our family members, our team members, research, and most importantly, from residents themselves about how to provide personalized quality care.
With more education and support, caregivers can learn to create more meaningful connections with loved ones experiencing memory impairment. As you know, people living with memory impairment may experience a variety of changes. For instance, challenges with language and communication, difficulty finding words, trouble remembering what to say, and problems understanding others. They may need reminders or assistance with basic tasks such as bathing, dressing, eating, and using the restroom. You've probably also noticed that your loved one may have difficulty remembering people, places, and events. At times, it may also seem like people with memory impairment are living in what seems to be a different reality or a different time and place.
Despite these changes, it's important to focus on all of the person that still remains. Over the next few minutes, we will share some helpful tips on how you, as a caregiver, can have meaningful connections with your loved one.
Focusing on the uniqueness of each person rather than on his or her memory loss is one way of honoring and celebrating personhood. Sunrise's memory care program, called the Reminiscence Program, is based on honoring and celebrating the uniqueness of each person and providing resident-centered care based on each person's individual needs and preferences in a supportive environment. This is done by recognizing that regardless of memory loss, each person has a past to be remembered and honored, a present to be enjoyed, and a future full of possibilities and potential. In other words, each individual with memory loss is still a person with the same basic human needs we all share, but they have a harder time communicating those needs. That's where caregivers come in. It's important to always remember that all behavior is a form of communication and that those with memory loss are still capable of meaningful communication and human connection. The most basic human need is the need for safety and security. Although there is certainly a physical component to the idea of safety and security, it is really the consistent, caring relationships with others that gives a person with memory loss a feeling of well-being. Each resident at Sunrise has a designated care manager who consistently cares for him. Because designated care managers care for the same residents, they become trusted friends who know each resident's likes and dislikes, as well as all of the small details that can mean the difference between a resident having a good day and having a great day. Another basic human need we all share is the need for love and friendship. People with memory loss might feel embarrassed or afraid to communicate with others because of their forgetfulness. These feelings can lead to loneliness, isolation, and depression. That's why it's especially important that caregivers do all they can to fulfill their loved one's need for meaningful social interactions with family, friends, and other loved ones. Even when a person with memory loss seems to be living in his own reality, it is still possible and beneficial to connect with a person on an emotional level.
Here's this brilliant man who was a civil engineer. He was very independent, but he hated to give that independence up. So sometimes his actions reflected that, and he didn't understand his actions. We'd go to a restaurant and he'd stand up in the restaurant and say, "My daughter won't let me go to the bathroom." But you live through the different things and you just put it in its place and recognize that these are the things that go on. There's times when he's been LeBron James or the Pope, and it's always been fun. But the hardest part is the recognition that they're slipping, but you still love them to the other side. And really, truly, I felt like with us, the adaptation was to be able to respect the person that he will always be, because there are shades of this that aren't him, but it's what he's going through, and we have to respect that. And every now and then when he has those bits of clarity, that's where we hone in and we say, there you are, welcome back. And it's okay to go off to where you're going to next, but we're all here, and we will be forever here, and he's forever our Father, and we've been forever grateful for where he is.
How much I love you, please don't take my sunshine away.
What this family caregiver just described is called validation, and it was developed by renowned social worker Naomi Feil. At Sunrise, we've learned to validate residents' feelings rather than trying to pull them back into a reality that no longer makes sense to them. Instead, we meet residents where they are by joining them in their world.
To me, when I validate a resident's feelings, I'm really just paying close attention to what the resident's experiencing and focusing on what she's trying to tell me with her words and actions.
Another basic human need is the need for meaning and purpose in life. Sunrise communities offer a variety of life-enriching activities and experiences designed to provide meaning and purpose throughout each day. Through a combination of large and small group activities, we strive to nourish each resident's mind, body, and spirit. In fact, each community has a life enrichment manager who ensures that every resident has an opportunity to take part in an activity that is life-enriching, familiar, and promotes feelings of accomplishment and success.
I'm a life enrichment manager, and I think I probably have the best job in the world. I get to know each resident, what they did as a career, their hobbies and interests, and I design a life skill activity that gives them a sense of purpose. Things like folding towels, clipping coupons, sanding wood, or feeding the dog are all life skill activities. There are things residents did all their lives, so they are second nature. We have one resident who always loved to entertain. We learned from her family that she used to throw fantastic dinner parties and that she always made family celebrations extremely special. We have tried really hard to provide opportunities that help her maintain that important part of her identity. She greets residents at mealtime, helps serve snacks, and helps us decorate for parties and celebrations. When she is doing her hostess duties, she just lights up.
We are constantly focused on creating a life-enriching environment that supports the emotional, spiritual, and physical health of each and every resident we serve.
Mrs. Oakley was a great piano player in her day, but she's had several strokes, and she doesn't play anymore. I play a little, so one day I decided to take Mrs. Oakley over to the piano while I played. I rested her hands on the keyboard on the high notes, and I played a song I knew on the lower notes. Right away, she sat up straighter and started moving her head a little to the music. She still couldn't actually play the piano, but she had her hands on the keys and she really seemed to enjoy it. Now we do that pretty much every day, and she still likes it.
When memory loss progresses, it may become more difficult for a person to perform a specific life skill task. However, there are still many ways we can enrich the person's life by adapting activities so that each can participate in a way that is meaningful and supports her quality of life. As caregivers, it's crucial to remember that life-enriching experiences go beyond typical activities. They actually speak to who a resident is, to her specific interests, and to what provides her fulfillment. In addition to boosting a person's quality of life, personalized life enrichment also helps reduce frustration, anxiety, and other actions that may be challenging for caregivers. We all share the basic human need to be listened to and heard. Each of us has the need to communicate with others. However, memory loss can make it very difficult for a person to express his thoughts with words. That's why it's vitally important that caregivers take the time to really focus on the meaning behind their words and actions. This takes patience, steadfastness, and most of all, empathy. Giving someone your full attention makes them feel important and worthwhile. And these are feelings that can often be missing from the lives of people with memory loss. Respect, esteem, and dignity are also important basic human needs we all share. Providing respect, esteem, and dignity to an older person with memory loss involves several things, including honoring the person's past and remembering the lifetime of experiences and accomplishments, focusing on who the person was and still is, helping them continue to find ways to express themselves and be active participants in life, helping the person continue to learn and experience growth, facilitating new and interesting experiences, never giving up, recognizing that everyone, regardless of memory loss, has potential, and that it's up to us as caregivers to unlock that potential. Although you may not realize it, your job as a caregiver also includes taking care of yourself. Not only do you owe it to yourself, but your loved one also needs you to maintain a sense of physical and emotional well-being. Here are some ways as caregivers you can bolster your health. Attend a support group. Each Sunrise community offers monthly support groups for families and friends of those living with memory loss. Anyone is welcome to attend, whether their loved one lives in a Sunrise community or not. Plan time for rest and relaxation. With all of the daily responsibilities of caregiving, it may seem impossible to find time for yourself. However, it is vitally important for your emotional and physical health. Many Sunrise communities offer short-term stays that can give you time to take care of other responsibilities or just relax, knowing your loved one is safe and sound. Stay physically active. Make time for exercise whenever you can. Simply walking around the block can free your mind and help you think more clearly. Finally, spend time with supportive family and friends. Research shows that pleasant social interactions can help reduce stress and bolster physical health. As you know, caregiving requires you to strike a delicate balance between listening and responding to your loved one and taking care of yourself. By intentionally focusing on your loved one's remaining abilities and recognizing that memory loss doesn't change the basic human needs we all share, you will be able to better meet the demands of caregiving with compassion, calmness, and hope for the future.
Although caring for a person with memory impairment can be a difficult experience, it can also bring you closer to your loved one in ways you never imagined. We hope that the resources and approaches that we have offered in this video will help you meet life's daily challenges with a renewed sense of energy and hope.
Please don't be afraid to ask for support and assistance when you need it. Team members at Sunrise are always available to assist you. Finally, we hope you realize that by being a caregiver, you are giving your loved one an amazing and precious gift. Thank you for all you do.